Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's weekly Town Hall meeting, October 24th, 2022. Today's agenda is projects and development updates, documentation updates, marketing and content updates, collaboration updates, and Q&A. Bobinson, can you please start us off with project and development updates?
Thank you. So let's start with our engineering metrics. So this is a typical DORA metrics that we've been using for a while. So the first item is the speed or the change lead time. Compared to the previous week, our overall progress seems to be it's getting slightly better. But at the same time, the review time it has increased. Previous week it was I've shown the previous week's time as well as current weeks. So the previous week it was 10.21, now it's 10.8. So I think that's an area that's an indication of it's indicating that we're spending more time on the review, and probably we have to look into that and improvise. So that's on the speed. Okay, the next item is the deployments remain pretty same. We don't have much of a change in the number of deployments, and in any case, the only deployments that's going to happen is the next. So hopefully next week we'll have a better stat for this. So this is the total throughput or the number of PRs that we have made. Looks like we're showing a downward trend on this as well. So there's a note to all the developers to keep an eye on what's happening and try to improve the number of PRs that we have. The quality metrics, unfortunately, we are still not in a position to track this. So let's skip this. So in general, we have to, I think the summary is that in general, we have to increase the time that we're spending on reviews and also the PRs. We need to have more PRs coming in so that our engineering metrics can look slightly better. Now, moving on to the project specific updates. On the blockchain side, we made a lot of progress on the Ethereum cells. So we've been working on primarily on the upgrade of smart contracts. The primary wallets on the Ethereum side is controlled by these smart contracts, and we've been working on finding a way to upgrade them. So if there are bugs or any need to upgrade them, change them, we should be upgrading them. And it is not easy to upgrade them once we deploy it because we won't have the keys to the addresses. So now we have this that a particular item was also tackled. And on the core, on the current legacy Peerplays code base, we have various bug fixes and QAs in progress, especially the Bitcoin side. With respect to the Bitcoin integration, we have added this feature to find the fees, and that's under testing. And there are a few other items also under either development or QA. And this week, I think the previous week, one of the major changes that we have started to have more focus on the substrate based new platform that we're creating. So we have moved two of the blockchain developers to the substrate based platform, and right now we are trying to set up a QA like a QA or a test environment where we can work closely with substrate and Moonbeam stack. And once we have those done, we are also planning to integrate Block Explorer and hopefully a NFT marketplace to the same environment so that it's easy for us to understand what's going on. And once that is done, the next step would be to try to deploy some of our existing Ethereum smart contracts. The next item is next. So here we have a staging environment created, and we have certain version baseline which is undergoing regression testing. So the primary focus is on regression of this particular of this release, and based on the input from the QA, we are working on fixes and features are also in progress. On the trade hands, so there are two things which is happening. One is the functional specs. So we're working on functional specs for some of the features, and there is also development happening. So some functionalities similar to some functionalities like sidebar component for the library navigation has been completed, and there is also a demo available. If anybody is interested, please look into it. So that's a general update from the development team. So that's a general update from the development team. In addition to this, we also have few things happening on the Python performance testing and Foresight, etc. And performance testing for the entire platform. That is also one item that we are actively working on. So that's all from the development team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob and Sim. Sean, documentation update, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Documentation updates. So, new, we have user stories and flow diagrams for our PeerLink backend. And we also have our user stories and acceptance criteria for our front end as well for the Speak bridge. Upcoming documents, we have some more functional specs coming for trade hands. Up next is the front page functional spec. We also have an update coming to our faucet setup documentation. And we also have some requirements coming up for PeerLink. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Michael, marketing and content updates, please.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. We're currently in the process of hiring a digital marketing specialist for Peerplays. This role will report to me, and we're seeking someone who has proven certification in building ad campaigns, managing automated workflows, campaign analysis, and reporting. And we also specifically are seeking someone who knows how to collaboratively work with diverse teams, specifically dev teams, so that moving forward, marketing can support all of the product deployments that are coming down the pipeline. As Jonathan mentioned, we have over 200 applicants, which is great, but I think we can assume that only 10% of those will be relevant. I'm going to be working with Alka this week to create a short list and interview candidates as soon as possible. Despite the good response rate, I encourage everyone to share this with your networks. If you have anyone within your professional circles who would love to work at Peerplays and has the skill set to match the role, which is on our LinkedIn page, as well as on the career page of our website. I wanted to share some early work on the website redesign. Lots of activity has been happening throughout October, and I'm sharing some screen grabs of the wireframe and mockups as they are evolving. There's numerous areas of focus. Primarily, right now, the initial focus is on cosmetic appearance. So we're working in color schemes and fonts and designs. We're looking at competitors within the crypto space to make sure that our website is aligned with those in terms of having something that's modern and slick. I'm going to be meeting with Jonathan today. He saw these mockups for the first time on Friday afternoon to kind of go over, are we in the right direction, to make sure that we have the brand positioning and mission statements correct, as well as trying to define a little bit more structured menu setup than we currently have on our existing website. I want to give a thank out to Abigail, Oksana, and Dave for their input and their work to date. One of the aspects that Sala was managing for us was the development of a scenes community platform. I've reached out to the Avalon team in Singapore on Thursday to get a level set on where we are with this product. As you can see from the slide, we have over 40. I've screenshot of some of the assets, but we have a total of 40 functional issues which have yet to be resolved. That's 40% of those are high priority, and some of those high priorities have a completion date for December 31st. So that's a little confusing for us. I've set a meeting request for this week. They have not responded yet, but I'm hoping to push that through with those guys just to get a complete understanding as to where we actually are and how the work is progressing to resolve all of these items. I hope to provide a fuller update at the next town hall, including delivery dates for that. I've included a URL to their site if you guys want to take a look at what they promise in terms of a product versus what we're actually getting. So lots of work to do there to get that where we want it. I wanted to include some sessions information for Peerplays of the last 30 days. These numbers are obviously not where we want them to be. This will be a primary focus for the digital marketing specialist when we fill that role to begin driving campaigns to get these numbers up to where we want it. In terms of the numbers that you're seeing right now, the spikes would be related to specific article promotion on our blogs and news feature of our website, as well as recent career listings that we've posted. On the positive side, you can see that over 80% of the visitors to the website in the last 30 days have never been there before. I've also included some geographical location to help us understand where these people are coming from. Similar story with the page views. Again, these numbers are not where we want them to be. I've included the major traffic points where visitors are spending their time. The good news is that almost 20 to 25% of the traffic is going to our tutorials pages. So that's good news. That's a positive piece of information that hopefully indicates that people are interested in participating in the blockchain and everything that Peerplays does. I also thought this would be relevant for the extended team. I know not everyone is really close to understand who our markets are. This is just a basic snapshot of some demographic information of those visitors of the last 30 days. I think there are no real surprises in here. For the vast majority of our visitors, they are male to female under between the ages of 18 to 34, my apologies. And so this is essentially, I'm not saying that this is a major insight into some stuff that we don't already know, but this will help us really define and hopefully get a clearer insight into our personas definitions moving forward. Um, these metrics reports will obviously evolve. We're obviously going through a bit of a transition, losing our performance manager, but this is going to be one of the key areas, as Jonathan mentioned, with the new digital marketing successful candidate, to kind of flesh these out and give us as much insight as we possibly can, not only on Peerplays, but on all of our future product developments. That's it for me, but I just wanted to give a big shout out to Critica, who delivered a wonderful branding guidelines template for the marketing team. This is a critical roadmap for us in terms of creative asset development, and was really invaluable in the early work on the website redesigns. So thank you, Critica. We really appreciate your efforts. And that is it for marketing and content.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Jonathan, collaboration updates, please.
Hello. So these are the collaboration updates for this past week with Peerplays. This past week, we had calls with Gaming Benefits Corporation in regards to regulated charitable gaming. We talked about the regulator dashboard, which I've talked about in the past. We made further progress on that. They gave us more spec details in terms of how it should work. We also had some graphical work shared with us, which we are using to scope out the requirements. So there's good progress on that. I'm expecting to see further development in that in the coming month. Infrastructure, 3Speak Media. We have talked about this in the past. This is in regards to cross-chain interfacing feature, which would have Peerplays speaking with, or basically having a swap function between multiple chains. And we are still in a holding pattern, waiting for them to sign off essentially on the proposal, which was agreed to. So we didn't make any further progress on that, aside from being told that we would make movement, but didn't happen. So this just earlier today, as a matter of fact, we did get word that there will be a follow-up call today on this. So hopefully that gets started. So no development has started on that until we have gotten confirmation from 3Speak on this specific feature. Medical, Mars VR. So we've had further follow-up regarding the gamified rehabilitation community. They are looking at essentially in the upcoming month getting started with this development. So we scoped out some of the work last week, and hopefully going to see that kick off in November. Again, I got another call lined up with them this afternoon, so that should finalize that as well. So we will be able to see how that progresses. And something new, but also something old, voting and polling in regards to Follow My Vote. So we collaborated with Follow My Vote back in 2020, 2021 in regards to a DApp they called Polaris. Actually, this was in regards to a DApp they called Polaris. Our collaboration with them in the past was in regards to a feature in Peerplays, which was called the blockchain abstract layer, the ball. And so this call essentially was regarding their Polaris DApp and their utilization with Peerplays with it. And don't have any more details to be able to share at this point on that, just to know that there was a collaborative call on that event, and there may be more on that in the coming future. So that's all good. Dedicated team updates. So we have one less team member with us. Sala, who was doing performance marketing, is no longer working with the team in regards to performance marketing. We are going through a restructuring of sorts as to how marketing handles its messaging. And so there's specific types of roles that we're looking to fill. And with Salah, and in terms of how he was in his role, was no longer able to fit into what was required for Peerplays. So right now we are in the process of seeking out other types of marketing managers. We are continuing to search, but we're getting a very good response. So we're expecting to see that get resolved relatively soon and be back to team complete once again in the coming weeks. So those are the updates for Peerplays this week.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's get on to the questions, comments, and thoughts. First question, will there be liquidity via Hive and or Pancake Swap and or Uniswap or another DEX?
Will there be liquidity? This is a difficult question to answer for a few reasons. First, nobody can know if there is liquidity from anywhere. That's up to the market. Second, the term via that was asked is unclear if the liquidity should be coming into Peerplays or if the liquidity would be going out of Peerplays into these other swap and or DEX type operations referred to in at least 3 different blockchains, I think. Once Ethereum Suns is established, though, there will be the possibility of PPY to transfer in and out of Peerplays to BSC, Polygon, or Ethereum. So how this will impact liquidity remains to be seen, and largely depends whether the community's interests are in terms of support for one of the mentioned swap services across multiple chains. So if the community really rallies around Pancake Swap, then maybe that's where the liquidity will go. If the community really rallies around the DEX and Peerplays, then maybe that's where the liquidity will go. It all depends on where the interest will go. So there's no real way to be able to say how that's going to turn out. I think the bigger question to ask, though, is what creates liquidity? A balance between the supply of what is available and the demand largely depends on the need of PPY. The most pressing need for PPY at present is for, one, doing any kind of activity on the chain, basically paying for fees to be able to do anything, and two, helping to secure the network, which you do via GPOS. And so when you go into GPOS and stake your PPY and help to secure the network, of course, for your participation, there is all the fees that flow within the Peerplays blockchain, then flow to those who are helping to secure the network. So there's also the possibility of being able to increase your stakes in PPY by doing that. So so these are the 2 primary functions of PPY today, and that is how people will demand PPY.
Thank you very much. And second question, what are we doing to gain value and liquidity for PPY?
So that's a little bit of a different way of asking this similar question. So the core components that are being worked on are addressing this very issue. So there's value, and then there's liquidity. So the value comes from having tools which are useful to people. If you look at what has happened in the crypto space as a whole, though, there's very little that has been made useful outside of the crypto space. In other words, lots of tools that are out there, or lots of products, serve crypto for crypto, but don't actually have anything useful to them. You can see crypto hasn't gained mass adoption or anything. Even the most popular projects are not handling any significant amount of users and have focused entirely on using incentives to get the users they do have until the schema collapses, right? Certainly not something we want to happen with Peerplays. Our starting point has been with creating a core around Nex, which is the Nex DEX, essentially. And then to layer onto that useful tools, which will not go in the same direction as others have in the crypto space. The more we stay focused on this usefulness strategy, the better the core will become to better serve people who can use it. The way in which we apply Peerplays autonomous organizations, NFTs, are going to be critical to creating liquidity in Peerplays. Now, I could go on for quite some time about how that works. In previous town halls, I've talked a little bit about that, But essentially, with all of this, there will be a need for PPY to secure the network in similar fashion to how it works now, and also pay for the operations of these things. So the security will likely be the greatest liquidity creator with all these components. So that's essentially what we are doing to gain value and liquidity for PPY.
I actually have an addition to the first question.
Okay, yes.
I think what the initial question that was actually being asked was more like when a new coin gets listed pretty much anywhere on a DEX, liquidity is kind of jump started by, for example, if you get team decides to list on Uniswap, they would, the devs or the team, PBSA, I don't know, would provide like initial liquidity to start the DEX and not fully. Like, sure, liquidity will come in from other people, but if there's no initial liquidity pools and or LP tokens for your stake, is that something that's kind of in the works? That's, I think, what the first question was asking. I've seen it asked a couple times about pretty much being able to stake, earn, and get LP tokens, things like that.
That's some good insights in terms of like what the expectation is. Again, though, we really don't know until we see where the interest is in terms of supporting these markets. There's multiple markets all over the place, and of course, trying to find a way to support them all would be really difficult. I think that coordinating primarily with the comms in Peerplays, basically within our social media, to let people know where these markets are available, could help to garner interest from those that want to be able to get into providing liquidity to these markets. But it's going to largely depend on, again, where the interest lies. So there's no way of telling until we start to see where the interest starts to grow.
What about, is there a possibility of Bitcoin / PPY liquidity being added to the NEX via PBSA and not anyone else to jumpstart liquidity? So, because right now there's no liquidity in the NEX at all if anyone wanted to become a witness, for example.
This would largely depend on timing, I think. And right now there is no NEX that has been released officially until we get to where it's actually something that's being promoted and as being available. Then I don't think there's going to be any movements from PBSA in this regard. We are focused more on working with collaborators who are working with us that I've talked about, and others who have worked with us in the past that have also voiced interest in being able to participate in Peerplays for liquidity. So I'm expecting that when we get to that point, then that would be the time. So largely, I think it's a timing issue more than anything.
Sweet, thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or thoughts here? Okay, that will end today's weekly town hall meeting. Thank you all very much for joining us, and I hope you have a great Monday or great week, Monday and week. There you go. Have a great day.